Hi, John Chamberlain here with Fundamentals of Light and Laser. Today we're going to do Lab 1-2C, building an inexpensive spectrometer. Well, we're not really going to build an inexpensive spectrometer, but we're going to use an inexpensive spectrometer to look at the wavelengths of light from two different sources. So let's look at our spectrometer. For this lab, you're going to use a simple handheld spectroscope similar to this, where you look into the viewfinder on one side at the light that enters in the port on the opposite side. So you have to line up the light source on that port, and you look in, and you're actually looking at the opposite angle, and you see the scale of the wavelengths of the light that are being refracted. And sure enough, I see the spectrum over there of the light. You want to see? Okay, here we are looking right into the spectroscope. Do you see the scale of wavelengths and the visible spectrum on the bottom, starting at 400 nanometers on the right, going continuously up through about 700 nanometers on the left with different colors. Now, is this a continuous spectrum or is this a line spectrum? Okay, I hope you got to see that spectrum. This will work on fluorescent lights too. Sure enough, I can see a good spectrum there, and it's a lot different than the incandescent spectrum. You want to see that one? Okay, so here we are looking at the spectrum of the fluorescent light tubes in our room here. Notice that the spectrum is considerably different than the incandescent spectrum. You should see color spectrum very similar if you look at the fluorescent tubes in your laboratory. Okay, as a bonus here, we're going to look at this neon light with the spectrograph. So let's look at the line spectrum of this neon light. You can see a couple of the green lines. Many red and yellow lines. Alright, and that concludes Lab 1-2C. I hope you've enjoyed the spectrometer and seen some spectra through your spectrometer, just like these here. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.